few national teams carry as much history, emotion, and contradiction as Italy. The Italy national football team, known around the world as Gli Azzurri, has been part of international football since 1910. Over more than a century, it has become one of the most successful national sides ever assembled, winning 4 FIFA World Cups and 2 European Championships. But Italy's story is not simply a clean rise to greatness. It is a story of dominance, reinvention, tragedy, tactical identity, cultural pride, and, more recently, deep uncertainty. Italy has been world champion, European champion, Olympic champion, and the holder of one of the longest unbeaten runs in men's international football. Yet the same nation has also missed multiple modern World Cups, turning a proud football institution into the center of one of the sport's most dramatic crises. The team is controlled by the Italian Football Federation, or FIGC, the national governing body for football in Italy. The FIGC is not just an administrative organization, it represents Italy's place inside the wider structure of European football. Italy is a co-founder and member of UEFA, which means the national team has always been tied closely to the development of the European game. Unlike some countries that have one fixed national stadium, Italy plays home matches in different stadiums across the country. That detail matters because the national team is not presented as belonging to one city. It is meant to represent Milan, Rome, Naples, Turin, Florence, Palermo, and every other football community in Italy. Its technical home, however, is in Florence, at the Centro Tecnico Federale di Coverciano, the training ground and headquarters often treated as the brain of Italian football. The nickname Gli Azzurri, meaning the Blues, comes from the team's famous blue kit. But the blue is not taken from the Italian flag, which is green, white, and red. It comes from Savoy blue, a color connected to the royal house of Savoy, which once ruled the Kingdom of Italy. Over time, that blue became more than a historical reference. It became a national symbol in sport. When people see Italy step onto the pitch in blue, they are not just seeing a uniform. They are seeing a tradition that connects monarchy, national identity, and modern sporting culture. This is one reason Italy's image has always felt distinctive. The Azzurri are not defined only by trophies. They are defined by a visual identity that instantly signals history, seriousness, and expectation. Italy's first great era came early. In 1934, Italy won the World Cup on home soil, establishing itself as one of the leading football powers of the time. 4 years later, in 1938, Italy did something no team had done before: it defended the World Cup title. That achievement placed Italy in a special category because winning once can be the result of a golden generation, home advantage, or a perfect tournament. Winning again proves structure, depth, and continuity. Between those 2 World Cup victories, Italy also won Olympic football gold in 1936, adding another major honor to an already extraordinary decade. The team had also won 2 Central European International Cups, competitions that mattered in an era before modern continental tournaments took their current form. By the late 1930s, Italy was not a rising nation in football. It was a dynasty. The Second World War interrupted football across Europe, and Italy's 1938 World Cup title was retained for 12 years because the tournament could not be held again until 1950. But the post-war period brought devastation of a different kind. In 1949, the Superga air disaster killed most of the Grande Torino team, which had supplied many players to the national side and had represented one of the strongest football groups in Europe. The loss was not just emotional, it damaged the competitive foundation of Italian football. During the 1950s, Italy struggled badly by its own standards. The lowest point came when the team failed to qualify for the 1958 World Cup. For a nation that had once dominated the tournament, missing it entirely was a shock and an early reminder that football greatness is never permanently guaranteed. Italy eventually rebuilt, and the national team returned to the highest level of the game. In 1968, Italy won the European Championship, claiming its first major continental title. 2 years later, the team reached the 1970 World Cup final. Although Italy lost that final to Brazil, simply reaching it confirmed that the Azzurri were again a major global force. In 1978, Italy finished fourth at the World Cup, showing consistency across tournaments. This era helped reinforce Italy's reputation as a team that could survive difficult matches, control momentum, and impose structure under pressure. Italian football became associated with tactical intelligence, defensive discipline, and the ability to turn narrow margins into victories. Whether admired or criticized, that identity made Italy one of the most feared tournament teams in the world. The next peak came in 1982, when Italy won its third World Cup. That victory became one of the defining moments in the country's football history because it restored Italy to the very top after decades without the trophy. The 1982 triumph also reinforced the idea that Italy could start slowly, absorb pressure, and then become stronger as the tournament progressed. This pattern became part of the Azzurri mythology. Italy did not always need to look dominant from the first match. What mattered was tournament survival, tactical adaptation, and delivering when elimination was on the line. In 1990, Italy hosted the World Cup and finished third, another strong performance even if it ended short of the title. By then, Italy's standard was clear: anything less than a deep tournament run felt like a disappointment. The 1994 World Cup added another famous chapter. Italy reached the final against Brazil, but lost on penalties after a tense, goalless match. It was a painful defeat, but also proof that Italy remained among the world's elite. The team continued to reach major finals, including the European Championship final in 2000. That tournament ended in heartbreak against France, with Italy losing after being close to victory. These near misses shaped the emotional rhythm of Italian football: pride mixed with frustration, beauty mixed with suffering. Italy was rarely far away from greatness, but greatness often came with dramatic tension. The Azzurri were not a team of simple victories. Their story was full of extra time, penalties, late goals, defensive stands, and moments that could define careers. In 2006, Italy reached another summit by winning its fourth World Cup. That title placed the country among the most successful national teams in football history. 4 World Cups is not just a number, it represents success across different generations, tactical eras, and football cultures. Italy's 2006 victory also strengthened the national team's identity as a tournament specialist. Even when club football, domestic controversy, or outside pressure created noise, the Azzurri could still unite around a major competition and find a way through. The fourth star on the shirt became a symbol of a nation that had repeatedly proven itself when the world was watching. At that point, Italy's place in football history looked secure, and few would have imagined how unstable the next decades would become. Italy's modern era has included both remarkable achievement and surprising instability. The team reached the European Championship final in 2012, losing to Spain, and finished third at the FIFA Confederations Cup in 2013. Later, Italy also finished third in the UEFA Nations League in both 2021 and 2023. But the brightest modern achievement came at Euro 2020, played in 2021, when Italy won its second European Championship. That victory was powered by confidence, balance, and a style that felt more proactive than older stereotypes of Italian football. During this period, Italy also produced a record 37-match unbeaten run in competitive men's international football, lasting from October 2018 to September 2021. For a moment, it looked as if Italy had fully reinvented itself for the modern game. And yet, the same era produced one of the deepest crises in Italian football history. Italy failed to qualify for the 2018 World Cup, ending a 60-year run since the previous absence in 1958. That was already a national sporting trauma. But then Italy also failed to qualify for the 2022 World Cup, and subsequently for the 2026 tournament as well. For a country with 4 World Cup titles, repeated absence from the sport's biggest stage is not a normal dip in form. It suggests structural problems, player development questions, pressure in knockout qualifiers, tactical transition, and perhaps a widening gap between historical reputation and present performance. The crisis is especially striking because it overlaps with the Euro 2020 triumph. Italy could be European champion and still unable to reach the World Cup. Italy's rivalries help explain why its football story matters so much beyond its own borders. Matches against Brazil connect Italy to the highest standard of World Cup history. Matches against Germany have often carried tactical drama and tournament weight. Games against France have produced finals, controversy, and emotional reversals. Spain represents a more modern rivalry shaped by contrasting football philosophies, especially possession-based dominance against Italian structure and adaptability. These rivalries are not just sporting fixtures. They are measuring sticks. They show where Italy stands in relation to the other great football nations. When Italy beats these teams, it strengthens its claim to elite status. When Italy falls behind them, the pressure grows because the Azzurri are judged not like outsiders, but like royalty expected to return to the throne. The Italy national football team is therefore best understood as a football empire facing a modern identity test. Its history is extraordinary: 4 World Cups, 2 European Championships, Olympic gold, historic unbeaten runs, and generations of players who shaped the sport. Its symbols are powerful: the blue shirt, the Azzurri name, the national federation, the training culture of Coverciano, and the expectation that Italy should always matter in major tournaments. But the recent failures to qualify for World Cups have changed the conversation. The question is no longer whether Italy has a great past. That is beyond dispute. The question is whether Italy can turn its tradition into a future. For the Azzurri, history is both a shield and a burden. The next chapter will decide whether this is only a crisis or the beginning of another rebuild. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.